There you go.
So out of 13, I said.
Yeah, we had a good percentage last year. By the way, we are recording now, just so everyone's aware.
Crazy.
Are we ready, Sarhan?
I'm ready when you are, Sarlise.
All right. So with the school recruiting program, what I bring up, there's a lot of moving pieces in this. I know last year they told us when we went through that they were toning it down some in the school from the previous years, but it's mainly it's a two-part. So you're going to start with your school visit,
Mhm.
and then you got to go back and do your data entry. So
Right.
it's a lot of moving pieces in it. With it, basically, biggest thing I always bring up starting out with is you gotta go make sure you understand the school tabs because you gotta find all the information when you go into the school. So it's understanding all of it. It moves really fast. They give you 30 minutes in the school and it goes very, very fast. Next slide. All right, so you're looking at it, if you go and look through school zone, all these tabs, starting with this information, the high school achievement goals, you'll get that from your brief. So you'll get brief from your, like, kind of like a ROP intro brief from your station commander about what that information is. With it, they're likely gonna brief you a few additional things they want you to go do when you're in the schools. And then you have to go through and the Jared C population, the website, graduation date, name of the school newspaper, release of the school list, the point of contact, the school directory, all that information's in the school tab like normal. The faculty tab, all that you get done when you go into the schools. So it's a matter of remembering all what you have to do, where to do it. One of the key features of the school is, for example, there'll be a school paper. The paper will probably have information on it. Everybody has business cards. You can dig all that information out and collect all that information, ask for everything. So it's talking to them and making sure if they have physical paper or something there, ask for it, take it, put it, that's handouts that you can take that give you the information to the answers to come back. They'll
Question:
have, go ahead.
Is the school going to give you like objections and stuff like obstacles, like the faculty, or no?
Yes, so each
Okay.
faculty will be briefed differently to
Yeah.
how to be supportive, non-supportive. You'll have basically everything from the initial school setup. You'll have a security guard at the front, you'll have a front administrative assistant, you'll have like a guidance little area, career council area, you'll have a few classrooms, you have a JRTC classroom, you'll have principal classroom and stuff, principal room, stuff like that. And you'll have objectives, you'll have some people that are friendly, some people are not friendly. It's just basically one of those things where you'll have to dive with it. Now, I'm pretty sure they're told where they're not to waste too much of your time, but at the same time, they're there to waste your time too. So it's you being able to handle them and answer whatever they are, take care of them and move on. For me, for example, last year, the principal took almost 5 minutes of me for taking care of my future soldier, which was Summerhand. Um, so it was the one of the teachers also tried to take a bunch of my time, and it's just a matter of like he wanted me to walk through the ACFT and walk through all the events with him. So I showed him one for a minute, and then he was like, "Well, can you show me the other ones?" And I handled it by, "You're taking from my class. When I come to teach your class, I'll teach the rest of them." And that's where I was able to move on.
Yeah, part of what you are tested on is how well you are able to manage your time and deal with distractions. So you have to be polite and respectful, and you have to courteously tell the JRC instructor, the gym coaches, the principal, yep, these are all important things, but we will have to discuss this at a later time and date. Otherwise, they will not give you the information that you're looking for, and you'll have to move on.
You will be given some events that you have to create from your brief. I want you to set up a table setup or a SASVAB or something like that. So you'll be briefed a few activities that you need to create. And that's where when you're in there, you talk to some people and set that up and you just write your date. Cause you have to take notes throughout the entire thing, whether you can pick like a school newspaper or you talk to somebody and they tell you the numbers, you have to take notes because once you go back is where you have your data entry side. So hopefully you take specific notes. The three prospecting activities and three administrative activities. I think if I remember correctly, I was told like one specific and then the other ones were kind of up to us. So what I did is if you click in that area in the school zone, it gives you some information so that you can like some ideas. Like one was a table setup, one was something else. So it allows you to do simple things like that and set those up. The one thing I do bring up is they take your cell phone and they take your like smartwatches and everything. So for me, the time was a crunch for me. I needed like 5 additional minutes for like one or two things.
Yeah,
Luckily, I had.
time was not a crunch for Sergeant French. Sergeant French, do you want to tell them what you did to keep track of your time?
I kept screaming at my evaluator for the current time because you can ask them time and they'll tell you either the time elapsed or how much time you have left. I got done with all the information I needed like 3 minutes early, so then I just started yelling at him for the time like every 5 to 10 seconds to mess with him.
It was so annoying.
It was very annoying. And there was this really annoying future soldier that was like getting kicked out of school too.
Yeah, he was in the principal's office, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he was just a lost cause. There was nothing you could do for that dude.
Yeah, I think we came back and put him in for a future soldier loss.
That's
Oh.
probably true.
Now, when I walked into school, I got past the security guard. The first thing I did was I stepped to the side on my notepad and I wrote down all my notes of things I had to look for. Because that way I could be detailed on what I did. Because I walked through remembering all the tabs I needed, what I needed, and I wrote all those little notes. So that was my checklist to try to hit all those stations.
Now, I don't know if they did it this year, but during your station commander brief, they give you a lot of things that you need to do. Some of those things can be part of your 3 prospecting activities. Some of those can be part of your 3 administrative activities. But things like following up with a future soldier and taking care of a future soldier, even though they're briefed by your station commander that you need to do, they are not part of the rubric, as you can see. So you don't need to spend a lot of time searching for that future soldier, even though he's at the end there. On your way out, you do find him. But you don't need to spend a lot of time looking for him, even though the station commander told you to find him and get him on the straight track or whatever. You don't got to spend a lot of time doing stuff that the station commander told you to do if it's not on the rubric. You get a lot of red herrings there that are not necessary for go in this event.
Or time
Yeah,
frame.
the
What was that, French?
best advice I could give on this one is you just need to go over and over and over and over again until you can write this rubric on an index card. Because that is how you pass this one. You have to have all of this on an index card. And then as you go through and you start getting the information you need to have this rubric complete, start checking it off or filling in the information. That's the only way I pass this one.
And there's a lot of little details in it. So for example, under principal needs their phone number. It was like the full name, phone number, and one or two other things in there, like so it's to make sure that you go and look at the school zone for what you're looking for. Email, I think was the other one that's in there. Whereas like if you ask for their business card, it'll have their name, email, and all that listed in there. The newspaper editor, that one I remember I had a hunt for. Prior service staff, one of the teachers was a prior service. So I found that and was able to load that. Oh, it's making sure you ask all those little details and write everything down, like he said. It's the biggest thing. And there's the school newspaper was sitting on somebody's table last year, and I think it was actually supposed to be in someone else's. And I was like, "Hey, can I have a copy of that?" And he kind of looked at me funny, and we talked for a few minutes, and he let me have a copy of it. So it's just a lot of your answers are right there. With this, a lot of your answers are in front of your face that you just have to open your eyes and see them.
Okay.
You have any questions so far?
No, so what I'm gathering, they give you 30 minutes to go to the school, ask every question in block 1 and 2, right?
You gotta do really all four of them in the school. Block
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and it says 6, but you gotta do all those in the school and complete all those actions in the school.
Okay. You got 30 minutes, so that shit's tight.
And I mean, you can walk back and forth. Last year they were running two of us at a time in the school. So they started us like 15 minutes separated.
Okay, too easy. No, I'm tracking so far then.
All right. Next slide. So this goes back to how they're gonna brief you. Your station commander is gonna sit there and talk to you and tell you, and they're gonna give you that briefing about everything. Uh, I think this one says you have your visit within 1 hour, but it's actually 30 minutes in the school and then 30 minutes to do your data entry. So the moving pieces, they'll take you to the school, you do the school visit. When your 30 minutes is up, they'll take you to the room to where you have the school zone. You can sit down and implement everything.
Yeah, that's it used to be 1 hour in the school, but yeah, it's now 30 minutes in the school and 30 minutes complete school zone. So the rubric says that. If you look, it's the rubric's right. This they just haven't updated this from the old previous events.
Next slide. So this is like going into the school. When you get to the data entry, they're gonna assign you a school. So they'll have the school zone with all the schools in it, and they'll tell you to go into this school. Next slide. So whatever RSID they have assigned for that, they'll say, hey, you're using said school. So make sure you go into said school and update it and go through. And this is basically where you'll start populating everything. The simplest answer on this, if there's a spot to put something in, it was information you needed, put it in. The ASVAB, you'll find the ASVAB date from somewhere in the school. You go on over to the high school performance achievements, you'll get that from your brief. They'll tell you what they want from the school for the year. The JRTC, that was one I missed. I didn't have the numbers last year. I know that's the one I missed on, but luckily I made everything else. Like I had gotten the JRTC Star Major and BC for student leadership, but I forgot to ask the number of people, and I guess there was actually a JRTC roster.
Yeah, some of the things also to watch out for is you have to be in the right school year. So they're going to tell you what school year to be in, whether it's the current school year, which will probably be. If you build it in this wrong school year, they will give you a 0 since you didn't build anything in the right school year, or a no-go for everything.
Yeah, they were not tricky on that. They didn't like tell us a school year that made me have to click another one, but they did say you need to build it in the current school year or something like that. So it's just make sure you're just being very detail oriented in this. The website, graduation date, name of school's newspaper. I think I got all that off the school newsletter. The accepts ads. I found the um, newspaper editor and asked them that. The school list, I found out who gave that, all that information. So it's just a matter of, again, collecting your data, taking your notes, and coming back and being able to place it in. Next slide.
Yeah. So this again just points out right school year. Putting in the high school goals. You should get that from the
Brief.
The brief, yep. So you gotta write that down when you're getting your brief. Same thing, JRC population, gotta try to find that information. And like Sarah said, you'll get that from the whether the newspaper or a directory. Someone has a directory. You just have to ask everybody for it, whether it's the principal or the guidance counselor or a teacher. I think the gym coach had it last year, but nobody asked the gym coach for it because why would anyone think the gym coach had the school directory or something like that?
So then you go into the faculties tab, this is where the section 2 is, and you gotta add in at minimum, and there's no reason to do more, principal, secretary, counselor, the newspaper editor, which is gonna be a student, under the student tab. The prior service, so you gotta find who's the prior service, and then you gotta, they get added on the faculty, and then you gotta add the JRTC staff, which is the instructors and the students. So the student leadership battalion commander and the CSM. So you gotta add in what, 6, 7 on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total on this section. And then do you have one clicked, like if you click faculty on your next slide?
It shows you just how to do it.
So that's why they said they ask you for, there's a lot of little underlining information on each one of those in section 2. Where you gotta find their full name, their position. They weren't tricky on COI VIP because obviously the reg changed towards VP now, or CP. So they weren't tricky on that one, but the phone numbers, the emails.
Oops. Yeah, so
And
needs to be,
so I was very simple. This is school newspaper editor or whatever, like very simple remarks. Any questions on the faculty student tab?
No, that's pretty good.
So the activities with this one here, there's a hyperlink somewhere on this where you can look at some of the selected activities. You just have to make sure you plan 6. You're gonna get some in the brief, and then the rest are gonna be something that you plan. There's no check the block to know if you truly asked a teacher if you could plan a table setup on this date. So just one of those things, go through the motions, hit them up. Hey, can I set a table set up next Wednesday and the following Wednesday? And you already got your 2 prospecting plus 1 more. So you can run through this one fairly quick. Click next slide. Pop out one. Or did you already pass that? All right. So the prospect and admin one, those go fairly quick, and then come over to the evaluation tab. This basically you can walk through this fairly simple. A lot of this is off of your knowledge. You'll get the student list, so you know what the senior population is. You know, really almost all these answers. I don't think they graded whether you got the right or wrong answer here. I think it was just whether you could fill it out.
yeah, that's my notes. They say that too, that there was really no answers for a lot of the stuff, since some of it was subjective. So it just needs to be completed.
Next slide.
Oops.
Do you need to put comment the remarks for the evaluation?
You can. You don't have to. It doesn't say you have to.
No, yeah, there's no graded part. It just says complete evaluation tab. So
Yep.
just put evaluation complete. And then the complete the school events calendar tab. Get the newspaper, the newsletter. The newsletter has a bunch of events in there. I think they tell you in the brief how many events they want listed, if I remember correctly. They're gonna say they want at least 3 events throughout the school year or something like that. I just listed every event I could find on that. Like I listed graduation, I listed spring fling.
Yeah. It's
So
what you can
there's
do
no-
too. Like I said, if you pull up, if you click on the
The hyperlink right up top, high school
Yeah.
work calendar events.
Yeah, if you clicked on this hyperlink here, it'll pull up this, and if you get all the information either from the school calendar or the newsletter, it'll have all this information in there, and then you can just kind of plug it in there. It's not that hard. This screen lets you kind of just add the stuff right in there, and the more you have in there, the easier it is for them to give you a go for that. Just make sure you're adding stuff in there that's based off of what you talked about with the school faculty or what's on the calendar.
Yeah, I think I did 5 or 6 last year, and I feel like I was told we needed to do 3 or 4.
So again, make sure you're in the right calendar year too. That's the main thing for a lot of this stuff too. This
Seems like one of the hardest things.
huh?
It seems like one of the hardest things.
It can be. A lot of people
Yeah.
do go home for this. For this too, I have a note in here that some of these you can set up as recurring events. Like for table setups, you can set up as recurring events if you're able to get the faculty to commit to it. For table setups to repeat, if they'll commit to that, you can get them to say, hey, look, you can keep coming every second Friday. You can set that up. And that was allowed. They didn't have any issues with that.
Do you have the
Make sure,
for the activity, the login activity on the next slide?
I'm sorry.
The pop out for showing that like login activity.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know why, unless the slides have.
When you click log activity, there should be a drop down for either prospect or administration. So just make sure you at least do 3 prospecting ones on there and at least 3 administration ones on there.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't have that slide. Unless I somehow deleted it by accident. But yeah, 3 admin and 3 prospecting. So table setup, RPI rack. So table setup, career day, and Jersey could be prospecting, then RPI rack displays and meet faculty and staff would be administrative. Just keep it simple. Make sure you have them in there. 3 and 3. And
The schedule follow-up date for principal for the ASVAB, that technically, if I remember correctly, is a administrative activity too.
Yep. Yeah, so I have a note in here too. It says, I chose to make all my prospecting events on a Friday and all my administrative events on a Wednesday. And that just was my simple plan. So I was able to keep track of, make sure I had 3 and 3. So if I had all my prospecting events on Friday and all my administrative events on Wednesdays, that just was the easy tracking for me to make sure that I was able to keep but I was able to have 3 and 3 and when I had them.
I know for me, when I did the data entry part, I was done with my data entry in like 18, 19 minutes, and I had good 10 minutes to sit there and go back and review that.
Yeah.
I found out everything.
Yep. And again, it was a big deal the year that I went through that people were building it in the wrong year. So making sure you get the right year, making sure you have the right school. If you don't, that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, they'll have every single one of y'all will be in the same RSID with schools. There'll be like, say, 15 schools, and they'll tell you which school to use. So people are going to be in the other schools, so definitely make sure you're in the right school. I would maybe suggest on the somewhere in there, either the school or in the evaluation one, put your name down there so that at least have some way to point that that's your school for sure. That's really the most notes or questions y'all have about school recruiting program.
So would you say that it'd be smart to basically talk to every single person you see, determine who they are and how they can help you or what you can do for them, get their information basically? I mean, or is that just going to take too much time?
For this event, no, yeah, you definitely want to talk to everybody because it's designed that way that you never know who has the information that you're looking for. because it might be a secretary that has the school list or the calendar or the newsletter. So you want to definitely reach out to everyone and then ask them, hey, who do you know that may have what I'm looking for? It, it might be any of the faculty members, because you want to get that calendar, you want to get that newsletter, or you want to get that school list or that JRTC list. Because when you talk to the principal, he might not be helpful, but his secretary might be helpful. Or like I said, I think that the gym coach had everything this year, and nobody asked the gym coach if she had the directory, and she was the only one that had it, or something like that. She had
The
some.
the school newsletter editor, they had an English room and a gym room, and everyone figured English had the newspaper editor. Well, when I asked the teacher in there, she was prior service, but she didn't know where the editor was. Well, the student was in the gym room with the gym coach.
Yeah. So like no one had asked the gym coach, and they had everything, and nobody approached her. So you do want to ask everybody if they have everything. And it's designed that way. Again, they want to know that you have that ability to establish rapport, because that's what, as recruiters, we're kind of being tested on, right?
Now, one thing they did say to us is with the two of y'all in that school together, no piggybacking, so you can't, like, if the other
Yeah,
crew is in there getting information, you can't use that information, so just go to a different room and come back.
right. And if for some reason you get bogged down behind someone else, they tell you to wait, that time does not get penalized against you. They start another timer, and you do get that time back. So if they say, hey, you have to wait, there's someone else there, they will start another timer, and you do get that time back. Even though you get stressed out, they do not hold that against you.
And so when you're asking the questions to get the specific lists, you have to be specific about what list you're asking for. So obviously, the school directory, the student, whatever roster, and then the JRTC roster, just all individual roster.
You could try to be vague. I mean, if you don't know what you're asking for, you say, hey, do you have anything helpful that might help me find this information? They might say, oh, I have this list. But yeah, it's obviously going to be helpful if you know what you're asking for. You're going to ask for the school newspaper, the school list, or a point of contact for the school list. I mean, it is outlined in the rubric what you're looking for. But yeah, it's if you're vague about it, they might give you vague responses back.
They are very detailed in the school, so it's
Yeah.
not like you have to make assumptions that this is the English teacher, this is JRC, like the rooms, everything, all the titles for all the counselors, everything is all very easy readable, so you know who you're talking to, where they're at, you're in the principal's room, all that for sure.
Yeah, it's all labeled. They have the rooms are labeled. We try to set them up to make them feel kind of like the principal's office. We try to have it feel kind of like a principal's office at a desk. He had a coffee cup in there. He was wearing a suit. We try to make it feel as much like the offices they were trying to be.
What other questions y'all have about the school?
I don't got none of this.
So this one, it feels kind of like a long day because there's just so many moving pieces. You got your 30 minutes windows and just a group going through. It felt like a long day, but it really, once you got going, it went quick.
So you did the school recruiting program
When
at
they
what?
do these events in the school, I'm sorry, when they do it's scheduled to be one a day. It's like 2 a day, depending on what it is?
You talking about throughout the whole week?
Yeah, for like when we go down there.
So
Yes.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're doing multiple events of the day. Thursday was only the OPAT.
Yeah, the OPAT, they end up doing the OPAT, half the OPAT in the morning, half the OPAT in the afternoon. The Army, the phone call and the interview, and ends up being kind of half. They do the phone call in the morning, interview in the afternoon.
So I got my training plan from last year's. And when you get briefed on Sunday, you'll get your training plan. For me, we did the ACFT. I think y'all are doing the PFA this year. We did that Monday morning. And then Monday we did develop a plan. Monday afternoon, we did the school recruiting program. Then Tuesday we did the recruiter centric network, telephone call, Army interview. Wednesday, we did the process application, conducted future soldier orientation. And then Thursday, we did the OPAT.
Sounds like a lot at the same time, but
It's busy. We'll go over that more again though on Friday, just kind of how it breaks down. But I have a whole class on kind of how to prepare for that. So I'm gonna shut the recording off though real quick.